Week 0 gets underway tomorrow, so as we all begin the push to the college football season, it's time to go through some opening statements. I'm joined here with Harry Douglas, Jordan Rodgers, who is on the call for TCU in North Carolina tomorrow in Dublin. Jordan, what's your opening statement?
I think Steve Sarkisian and Texas have the most pressure on them to win a national championship. If not now, then when. It feels a little bit like the last dance. You have Arch Manning. You go get the best receiver in the portal and Cam Coleman to pair him up with Ryan Wingo, Colin Simmons on the other side. I mean, the talent on this roster is unbelievable, but you still got to go out there and do it. And if you don't do it with Arch, I don't know if you're going to.
Harry Douglas, agree or disagree? A lot of pressure in Austin this year.
Oh, I 1,000% agree. And when I look at this Texas Longhorn football team, you better be better on the road. All three of their losses in 2025 came on the road. They had close games versus Mississippi State and also Kentucky on the road. But can you win the big game consistently? And there are a lot of them on the boatload of their schedule that they have for 2026.
There is going to be a lot of talk after that Ohio State game one way or another. It's either Arch for Heisman and Texas can't be beaten, or it's going to be, is it time to make a change in Texas? Harry Douglas, your opening statement is?
Let's go to Penn State in the Big Ten.
Ooh.
Oh, Matt Campbell, a damn good coach in college football, but their schedule, they avoid Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana. So when you look at the three, I would say popular games on their schedule, Michigan, Washington, USC. If they win two of those three games, we might be talking about the Penn State Nittany Lions in the college football playoffs.
Plus 320 to make the playoffs. I don't disagree because that schedule sets up very nicely. The USC game looks tough, but USC has had a lot of trouble traveling to the Eastern time zone and having success. Jordan, your thoughts on Penn State's schedule?
Yeah, look, I think you can't overlook every game on that roster that Penn State should normally win, right? Because of how much roster turnover Matt Campbell has had. But on the other side, I kind of agree with Harry because when you got a quarterback, especially a veteran like Urako Becht, he started 39 games in his career. He's starting his fourth year under Matt Campbell. This is a guy that can get you through adversity, that can make the 10 other guys around him better on the offensive side of the ball. And they have a lot of young talent at wide receiver, especially. So when you have a quarterback, as we saw in the playoffs last year, a guy like Carson Beck that can just make things happen in the biggest moment, be a manager until you need him, that's a guy like Rocco Beck. So I think they can absolutely make some noise and make a playoff push.
All right, let's stay in the Big Ten. Best futures bet to win the championship, in my opinion, the Oregon Ducks at around plus 750. What's not to like? You have a future first-round pick at quarterback who's got plenty of experience. You're going to be a double-digit favorite in 10 of the 12 regular season games you play. One dog spot that's on the road in Columbus against Ohio State. And on top of that, the biggest problem last year, the defensive line. That problem has been solved. This team is absolutely stacked this season. Plus 750, I'm all over it. Is Oregon a championship caliber team?
I agree with you. They're going to have one of the better defensive lines in the country, led by Amari Washington. Then you have Tuioti. You have Mateo Uiagalelei. And then you have guys in that secondary that can play at a high level. But let's go to the offensive side. You mentioned Dante Moore coming back, was really disappointed. This team overall, you look at the last two losses that they had last season and in 2024 came to the national championship or the championship teams, Ohio State, Indiana. Let's not forget about that wide receiver group. De'Corian Moore, we know he's a phenomenal player as a five-star guy. But Evan Stewart is coming back as well. And, oh, by the way, they have a tight end, Jamari Johnson, who's going to be a first-round draft pick in the 2027 NFL draft as well, too.
Jordan, you know the position well. Jump back in here. Dante Moore, is he possibly the best quarterback in the country?
I think he's second best behind Trinidad Chambliss right now. Here's what I'll say, though. I think he's the most pro-ready. He makes the most translatable throws in college. I think the one knock would be the turnovers in big games, right? He had 2 interceptions against Indiana in the regular season, 4 interceptions in 3 college football playoff games. That can't happen, right? Multiple interceptions against JMU, the pick 6 that you see right here against Indiana. Those are things that he cannot do. Now, he can do a lot. And to Harry's point, this wide receiver room is stacked. Evan Stewart was one of the best young, talented wide receivers in the country at Texas A&M. Didn't play last year because of injury. That, I think, might be the top quarterback wide receiver duo in the country. And that's saying a lot, right? Dante Moore's going to put up some unbelievable numbers. And if that defensive line is as good as everybody thinks, Oregon's going to be a tough one to beat.
One concern for me. Dan Lanning has not fared well in rematch games. When he gets you first time early in the season like Indiana, it's one thing. the rematch tends to go very poorly for him, as we've seen the last few years. So keep that in mind if he has some success against Ohio State and then faces them again later in the season. We're going to fast forward now all the way to the end of the season. There's no point in watching any of these games. We just want to jump all the way to the end. That's clearly a joke. Some national championship picks. You're up first. Who's playing who? Who's winning?
Yeah, I have Ohio State versus Notre Dame, and then I'm going to go with the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Julian's saying I love him as a quarterback. A lot of people aren't talking about him like they probably should be. He completed over 70% of his passes a year ago and has the best player in college football. But this secondary and C.J. Carr for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, I think a lot more is going to be on C.J. Carr's shoulders this year with those two running backs, Darian Price and Jeremiah Love, no longer being there. But they have the best secondary in the country. They have two guys in their secondary who's probably going to be first-round picks as well in 2027 NFL Draft.
Okay, so it's Ohio State and Notre Dame for Harry Douglas, Jordan Rodgers. Who's your championship game? Who's winning?
Yeah, I'm going Georgia and Notre Dame for some of the same reasons that Harry was talking about Notre Dame. If CJ Carr is not already a household name, he's about to be. This kid is so freaking good and a lot more pressure and responsibility this year without the dynamic duo at running back, but he's going to step up to the plate. I mean, he's a top 5 pro prospect easily. He can put himself in the conversation of being the top quarterback next year, I believe, with his play this year. In Georgia, man, not a lot of people talking about Georgia. Not enough. Gunnar Stockton was the best quarterback in the country against ranked teams last year. 18 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions. And that defense is going to be, once again, one of the best in the country. I think those two survive the gauntlet and are there at the end.
I already gave you Oregon, and I think right there, Georgia's the team they face in the championship game. Problem is Oregon ends up winning. Big Ten dominance continues.
Better offensively.
Jordan, you're on the call for tomorrow's game, so we're not going to have you make a pick, obviously, but take me through what you expect from UNC in this matchup.
Yeah, I think if you look at last year, they were really close to being a 6-win team. They had 2 back-to-back losses with kind of fluke fumbles at the goal line late in games that they should have and could have won. And here's the thing. They were one of the worst offenses in the country. In almost every single category you can look at, the defense was actually top 40. It was pretty good. Bobby Petrino and Billy Edwards Jr., the new quarterback. Bobby walks off the bus getting 400 yards. So this offense is going to get a boost schematically. And I think they got a quarterback that's played a lot of football back to his days at Maryland in 2024 that can operate this system that's really good. So I think they're going to be better in a lot of areas. And I think they were a lot closer. Maybe not as bad as everyone thought last year, although it wasn't pretty. They were close to being a bowl-eligible team. I think they got a chance to make a bowl run.
Okay, now later in the day, USC is going to kick off their season under head coach Lincoln Riley. They'll be taking on San Jose State. Win total this year for the Trojans sits at 8.5. I'd bet the under here, which means I need 8 or fewer wins, which means I need 4 or more losses. I see them losing to the big 3 that are on their schedule: Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. That means I need 1 more. Don't be surprised if it's the road trip to Penn State. Lincoln Riley and the Trojans, since they've joined the Big Ten, have had a lot of trouble traveling across the country to the Eastern time zone. Jordan Rodgers, are you doubling down on USC under 8.5 wins?
I am not doubling down. I'm going to take the over, and here's why. I agree. I think there's a chance that they lose to Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana, but don't count those out. If you look at last year, their 4 losses, they scored 24 points or more in all those. They scored 32 points and still lost to Illinois. They scored 24 points and lost to Notre Dame. Like, this is a team that can put up points with Jaden Maiava. And if Gary Patterson, the new defensive coordinator, can get them just a little better, a touchdown better, 4 points better on that side of the game, a couple of those losses turn to wins. And with that type of firepower at quarterback, you can beat anybody. Right? They were really close to Oregon last year, even though the defense was really bad. So I think it's a marginal. I think they can get to 9 wins, though.
Feinbaum believes that Lincoln Riley's coaching for his job this season. Do you agree? Is he on that hot of a seat?
I believe so. You brought a guy like Lincoln Riley to Southern California to make the college football playoffs. He has failed to do that up until this point. When you pay a guy $11.5 million, you don't pay that guy to be mediocre or a little bit above mediocre. You pay that guy to have an opportunity to compete for national championships year in and year out. Here's the thing about Southern California. They have the quarterback position. It's just those big dogs that they have to play year in and year out. When I look at Indiana, you look at Oregon, and you also throw in Ohio State into the equation, it's going to be tough sledding for them to make the college football playoffs this year. I do not have them making it.
All right, and then we're going to have the Florida State Seminoles trying to get back on track under head coach Mike Norvell. Their win total, 5.5. I haven't made a play on this one, full disclosure, but if I was going to, I lean lean to over 5.5 wins. Schedule starts off tough. They've got a winnable game. They're a 30.5-point favorite tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and lay the points. Then it's going to be SMU, then Alabama. We're likely 1-2. Rest of the way, I think they're in a decent spot. Last year, plus 144 in yards per game margin. To do that and finish 5-7 means some positive regression should be coming. Are you doubling down over 5.5 wins on Florida State?
I do not believe they're going to get over 5.5 wins. Look at their schedule. They play Alabama, they play Louisville, they play SMU, they play Florida.
Right.
Florida, they play a lot of people. Just in case you didn't know, Louisville is third right now, odds to win the ACC. Just thought I'd throw that out there for you, Joe.
Third in the ACC, not the Big Ten, not the SEC, the ACC. Thank you. Jordan, how hot's Mike Norvell's seat?
I mean, it's hot for sure, right? You can't go 2-10 and 5-7 and have another dud of a year. Here's the thing, though. Maybe it's the Guinness. Maybe it's the good Irish vibes I got going over here, but I'm hammering the over on all these. I'm actually really bullish on Ashton Daniels. I think he's what you call a force multiplier. He's a guy that makes everybody else around him better. And on a bad Auburn team last year, he stepped in against Vanderbilt and went for 440-plus yards in a shootout and only lost by a touchdown. And then in the Iron Bowl against Alabama, he had like 360 yards and lost a one-score game as well. So Ashton Daniels at quarterback is a guy that can make you better. He's an extremely talented dual-threat quarterback. I think they get over the hump here. Now, I'm not saying 6 wins is enough to say, hey, let's extend this guy, but I think they got a chance to get to a bowl game and turn things around there.
Try to knock me off my feet, still standing with more money than I came with. Goddamn, took a loss, but I'm still a gambling man, betting all the chips that I got left.